Hey, sports fans. Greg Medford from Medford Knife, MKTUSA. Good Monday morning to you guys. What's going on? Man, I had a day. It's already been a day. I made a great breakfast for my son. Took him to work. Took him to school. I got hit on this morning on the way to work at a gas station by a blonde in a Range Rover. I mean, she hit on me. My boy and I both looked at each other. We were like, what just happened there? Pretty funny. That's what happens when you wear a red shirt and have a red pickup. I wanted to have a talk today. We got stuff going on around the country, stuff going on around the world. And I wanted to have a talk today about truth in the light of day. Now, there's been a lot of stuff that's gone on since the election. During the election, there was a lot of stuff that went on. And there's a lot of people who pshaw the voting process. There's a lot of folks that are mad at the voting process. And there's a lot of Sturm und Drang going on. There's a lot of wrestling back and forth. And that's going to happen. And that's what's supposed to happen. We're supposed to have an arguments, and we're supposed to have our arguments and our discourse and the fight back and forth, and hopefully Aristotle's theory of the golden mean turns true, and we find some place in the middle that makes some sense. Now, I wanted to talk today about truth in the light of day, and here's my parting thought for Monday this week, is this the last week of April? I don't even know what fucking month it is. Here in Arizona, we have a big effort going on to do an audit of the election. And Democrats say we're trying to overturn the election. There's no such thing as overturning an election. There's just an election. There's just an election. People who say you're overturning an election are coming from a mindset of overturning elections. We're just counting. Now, what happened was, I want to break this down for you right quick. Right after the election, something was funny. We sniffed something funny in the air out here in Arizona. We think something funny happened at the senatorial and presidential election statewide. Because you could drive around all day and couldn't see a Biden flag sticker or anything. There were spontaneous rallies happening on street corners. There was 100-mile long spontaneous Trucks for Trump rally that drove around the city 100 miles long. 100 miles. There's not a politician in American history that could get a 100-mile long car train, spontaneously self-develop, and drive around a major American city. We noticed something was up. Something didn't sniff quite right. You know, you went to kiss your girl and you smelled somebody else has been there. Something's not quite right. I smell Old Spice. So, here's what happened. The Republican Party said, hey, we want to do an audit. The Democrat Party said you can't. The Republican Party had to sue to do an audit. Now, when you do an audit, it opens a can of worms. In a super close election, it can flip it the other way, it can make it worse, it can cause all kind of problems. So what happened was, they sued, and the judge said, all right, no audit. Here's what you can do. You could pick 1,000 random votes. If there's more than a 1% deviation, then you've got a case for doing a general audit. Because a general audit's big and it's expensive, and it's a fucking to-do. And it can overturn an election. And overturning an election is a to-do and could cause a crisis. Now, the only people it causes a crisis for are these fucktards who've shoehorned their way into power. The rest of us, it's no crisis if these fucking ding-dongs move in and out of these houses and buildings. No crisis at all. Anyway, they did a 1,000-vote recount, or a 1,000-vote audit, and they found a significant deviation. It was significant. And everyone went, And then what happened is the Democrats freaked out. So they did a completely above board, random 1,000 votes, found a more than 1% deviation, which is a lot, and then said, No. You can't do a recount. Now, this is always the thing. The truth likes the light of day. The truth does not like darkness. Now, if a cop says to you, well, if you got nothing to hide, why don't you let me look in your trunk? I recommend you telling the cop very politely to have a nice day and go get a court order or a search warrant because, that's your rights. Or if you just want to be done with it and you're me, you go, yeah, fucking go ahead. Look, man, I got nothing. That's it. Now, you hope you're not in like Mexico where the cop throws some cocaine in your trunk while he's looking. So they already say, hey, you can look at my trunk, no problem. I'd like the video you look at it in my trunk. No, you want to, okay, no problem. And I said this, I'm like, hey, sure, you want to look around? Fine, let me get my video going. And they're like, never mind, have a good night, sir. So I just recommend always like kind of covering your ass and pushing back as much as you can. But if it comes down to it, sure, man, go ahead, look in the fucking trunk, man. I got nothing. I'm not breaking any rules. Now, I don't advocate that if you've been breaking. I always tell everybody, like, hey, man, call my lawyer. Safest call of the day for you, but I'm not complying to anything. You tell me what you want me to do, arrest me, cite me, or let me go. I'm your safest call of the day. But if you want to look at something, no, you want to ask me questions, the answer is dial number 2, the law firm of Dewey, Stickham and Howe. Talk to my attorney. You know who told me that? My cop buddies. Because 90% of all people convicted are convicted out of their own jibber jabber. They incriminate themselves. So I just shush all the time, except when I'm on YouTube. So here's the thing. They did this thing for the 1,000-vote audit. Then the Democrat Party said, no more. That's not accurate. And then they said, well, now we did what the judge said, and now we want to do an actual recount. And they sued to do a recount. And they got granted a recount. And our governor is the only governor, Brnovich, who's brought a recount case to the Supreme Court and won. Watched what everybody else did. They were all dismissed on technicalities, not on the merits of the case. He took a different tack. I think he wants to be governor next. Our guy Douchey is out. So he's pushing. And he got a case to the Supreme Court. They're doing a recount of Maricopa County. It's 2.1 million votes. They have the Veterans Memorial Coliseum downtown Phoenix here, all sequestered off. And this is where Trump had rallies and filled the place. And they're doing a recount. Now, 1% of 2.1 million people is enough to overturn the election. Now, I'm not saying there's a 1% deviation on the whole thing. Maybe they just got lucky. But something's fishy about the whole thing, and we all know it. So, they've got 3 firms in, this Ninja Tech company and some other company that do auditing for like the CIA and other companies. And they're coming in here looking at these electronic voting machines. They're doing all sorts of the stuff that should have been done a long time ago. They got 60 days to pull it off. Last Friday, the Democrats sued the Republicans in court to stay the recount. That's to stop the recount for you lay people. A judge said, okay, we'll stop the recount. You have to put up a $1 million bond for the losses they're incurring by renting the Veterans Memorial Coliseum. And the Democrats said, oh, we can't put up $1 million. And they said, okay, well, the count goes on. So they started doing a recount. Now, I haven't heard any results of the recount. I haven't heard any rumors. I don't know anything. I think all those people are trying to do the right thing. Most of the folks that I know, even the crazy Trumpers like me, we don't want to recount and overturn an election. We want to make sure the election was accurate. If we lost, fair enough. Guess what? We all played sports. We're okay losing. It's okay. All of us knuckle dragging, gun toting dude, we're all okay with losing. We really are. We learned how to lose. It's okay. I've been losing half of every political fight my entire life I've lost. But when people are pushing for darkness, there's something wrong. When the Democrats, and I'm not saying it because they're Democrats, if it was the Republicans, I'd be sniffing and saying something. Why is it they don't want an audit? If they're so sure they won, why is it they don't want an audit? Who doesn't want integrity in elections? Who doesn't want the truth? The truth likes the light of day. The truth loves the light of day. The truth loves the light of day. You know what a lie likes? Lies like the darkness. Lies like secrets. Lies like secrets. And it's really concerning when a major political party, the current party in power, unbelievably in power, it is hard to imagine any group of people with a straight face saying, yeah, no, we don't want to look into it. No, don't want to look there. No, we're going to sue you so that you can't look at it. No, we don't want an audit. We don't want a recount. We don't want anything. Now, they're saying it's on a technicality. Now, here's what's interesting. Down at the recount, you can watch it live. They're live streaming the whole thing. There are HD cameras all around the building streaming the thing. You can watch the count. It's in the open. Don't look at my trunk. Well, sure, there's blood dripping out of the trunk and it smells like something's rotting in there. Yeah, but don't look in there. There's nothing in there. No, there's nothing in my trunk. Don't look in there. No. Something's wrong. Now, that's just my gut talking, and my gut's been wrong before, but not many times. But something's wrong. Something doesn't make sense. I'm not distraught about the Trump thing. I knew this government was dirty, rotten, and corrupt to its core before he did, apparently. I've been saying all along, be skeptical of these dirty, rotten, lying sons of bitches. There's not a single one of them I wouldn't just basically give them a Colombian necktie and sleep like a baby over. It wouldn't bother me one bit. It's not hyperbole. I think they are lying, thieving scumbags of the highest order. I think us calling the Chinese corrupt, I think morally they're bankrupt, and I think we are corrupt. And they look at our government and they know how corrupt it is and how much of the government they've bought and paid for. And then we stand on our high horse casting moral aspersions at the Chinese. No wonder they laugh at us. They're buying our own government. I think they got in on the voting. I think they definitely got in on the voting, and I think these rotten big oligarch companies have gone all in on it with them. And I think it's the big five. It's Facebook, it's Google, it's Amazon, it's Microsoft, and it's Apple. These five are all in on it. Because when you have 100% market penetration, how do you meet next quarter's report for your stock investors? You know what you do? You force everybody in on it. You know what they want to do? They want to have all this stuff made off in China. All they want to do is move it on a mobile app platform. So, the recount now is apparently paused. They're waiting for some kind of review. I don't know what else there is to review. I would encourage everybody to reach out. I would encourage everybody to reach out to your congressman, your state congressman if you're from Arizona, your state senators, your U.S. senators if you're from Arizona. If you're from outside the state, I would encourage you to email our ding-dong ruling class here in Arizona and push. Because what they don't want, and here it is, they don't want the dam of lies to break anywhere, because as soon as the dam starts to break, the whole thing's going to flood. We are the first card to one of the biggest scams that's ever happened. And if this flips, you watch what happens. We have set a precedent for doing something. And it's this. When you've stolen an election or you've cheated on an election, it can be overturned and undone. They got problems, though. There's laws being passed and money being spent by people who may not legally be in power. That's true. And they're going to probably take this video down. They don't want anyone to have this discussion. Too big to fail. Too important to fail. Constitutional crisis. It would be zero crisis for me if we had no government for a week while they switched it back to the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be however it's supposed to be. But nobody wants, I don't want to overturn this election. I just want the truth to come out. Now, if he lost, fine, he lost. If people can say, oh, he lost because of himself. Yeah, maybe he did lose. Everybody loses because of themselves, maybe. But nobody's ever had the entire information and news establishment pitted against them. Lying. Never seen anything like it. Truth likes the light. Lies like the dark. Whenever someone's telling you not to look, don't look there. Don't look behind the curtain. It's the Wizard of Oz. There's a little man behind the curtain pulling the strings. They don't look behind the curtain. That's what's going on. So you guys watching the news, keep your ear on the railroad's tracks in case there's engines coming. We got problems. Trying to work through it. And it's a fight. And we need people to be screaming for this audit to go through. Now, if you were in power and you thought the election was honest and you thought a half of the country was pissed off, you'd think one of your driving raison d'etres would be, let's prove to them this election was watertight, get this behind us and get back to ruling the country. Because we need people to actually believe this works. If you got half of us who've got jobs, buy trucks, believe in commerce and the American way the most, if that half all of a sudden doesn't believe in the country, what do you think happens? What do you think happens? What happens when your most employed base doesn't believe in the legitimacy of the country anymore? I guess that's your question. That's our question. All right, you guys, the light of truth. Push for the light of truth. If you're a Democrat and you listen to me and you don't like me, thanks for listening in. You should like the light of truth. All right, I'm gonna have a sip of Pepsi out of my Yeti cup. This country is like being in love with a porn star. It's so fucking beautiful. Like a hot porn star, not a used one. Brand new one. It's so hot, it's so beautiful. And it's so deviously corrupted at its soul. And you can't stop having your way with her. But it's corrupted and devious at its soul. Our country is a big red, white, and blue brand new porn star. She just filmed her second movie. She's going to win newcomer to the AVN of the Year award for 2021. We got to find some way. We got to find some way to shed the light on everything. I don't care how it fell. I mean, I do care how it fell, but I don't care as much about that as I care about it being accurate. That's why we all like the replay, the instant replay. I just want an instant replay. Hey, I want to see that play one more time because That call didn't seem right. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about professional sports. Because why should anybody, including people like me, be spouting our opinions out there that you don't want to hear? Craig Medford from Medford Knife on this sexy Monday. I'm wearing my grunt style shirt. I got this shirt from my mom. Whiskey drinking, gun toting, throat punching, freedom loving, son of a bitch. Thanks, Mom. Craig Medford from Medford Knife, MKT USA. I am out. Have a great Monday.